Hello students, my name is Shayan Mitra. I am the faculty member of Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. Today I am going to take in the class of signal system, and today's lecture is a continuation of the Fourier transform. In this previous few lectures we have discussed detailed about we have a detailed discussion about the continuous time Fourier transform, where we have discussed the properties of Fourier transform, what is the basic significant of using a Fourier transform in continuous time signal. In this lecture we are going to discuss about the same Fourier transform, what is the differences with discrete time for signal and discrete time signal Fourier transform and continuous time Fourier transform. And we also going to have we are going to discuss about the similarities and dissimilarities of discrete time signal with Fourier transform. Okay, so let's begin with the lecture, and this is the lecture number 21. One second. This is the lecture number 21, and this is the subject code of this is EC303. Okay, so let's begin with the lecture. Okay, so as we have already discussed about the continuous time Fourier transform, so we are not going to get into the detailed discussion of how we have extract the Fourier transform representation from Fourier series representation. Okay, so the basic formulas and the basic fundamentals are will be similar to continuous time Fourier transform with discrete time signal. In case of continuous time signal and discrete time signal, the fundamentals will be clear, but in case of discrete time signal, as we have already know that the signal pattern will be different. We have taken we have sample we take we have quantized the time the independent variable, which is time, and depending upon that we have created the discrete time signal pattern. Now suppose first we are going to discuss about the aperiodic signals, that a specific aperiodic signal, how we can represent a specific aperiodic signal using the periodic signal fundamentals. So first suppose we have a specific picture of a signal which is a periodic signal which has a specific waveform. Now we have used this specific signal and create n numbers of photocopy of this specific waveform, and we put it in a periodic manner in which there are specific shape identical shape of this of a specific waveform as this and this, and these are n numbers of spacing, and this spacing will be uh, of similar numbers. It means the specific signal will repeat itself with same specific time period. So what we have here, we have created from a periodic signal a specific periodic signal with that specific same waveform. Now with this specific periodic signal we can represent it in a Fourier series representation. Okay, so we have represent this specific signal, we named it as x dash n signal, which can be represented in this form in case of a discrete time signal, right? So depending upon that we have we can also extract the value of constant coefficients of that specific periodic signal, and using that by replacing the values from one another, we get to the final consideration. Okay, and here as we have very similar to the continuous time signal, we have used that n, as we already know this omega 0 is in case of discrete time signal, omega 0 is equal to 2 pi by n. So the n, as n increases, omega will get decreases. So depending upon that, as we increase the n to tends to infinity, we can revisit this signal and rewrite this signal as a synthesis equation and a analysis equation. Okay, so 1 by 2 pi tends to 2 pi x e to the j omega j omega n is the frequency transform of this specific signal. Okay, so this is our synthesis equation, and x e to the power j omega, which is from a discrete time signal we can switch back to frequency domain. It means from a time domain signal we can get to a frequency domain signal. That's the basic property of a Fourier transform. So in case of discrete time signal we use the same style, same process to go there. Okay, but in case of when you are controlling the n, in case of continuous time signal we control the value capital T, which is the time period, but in case of discrete time signal we control the n value. As we increase the n, the frequency decreases. As with that we can easily understand that in case of a periodic signal and in case of a periodic signal, if we have a same waveform and the n tends to infinity, we can get that specific signal is of the average energy of both the waveform is same. Okay, so with that we can go to the next part, that we and that's very important to understand that in both the cases of continuous time Fourier transform and in case of discrete time Fourier transform, both the signal that we have extracted or both the formula that we have concluded with is very much similar. But in case of discrete time Fourier transform, the specific formula can be extracted by controlling the value of spacing, the sample spacing, or which is the capital N. But in case of continuous time Fourier transform, as it is a continuous signal, we will derive that specific equation using the capital T, which is the time period. So this is the basic difference, and with that it comes with few different properties. So before going to the properties, we will going to discuss about the periodic signal, how we can extract a periodic signal from using the a discrete time periodic signal using the Fourier transform. Okay, so let's go there. So let's begin with the continuous one second. Let's begin with the Fourier transform periodic signal, that we're going to discuss how we can go there. Okay, so as we as it has been written here, that as in continuous time case, the discrete time periodic signals can be incorporated with the framework of the discrete time Fourier transform by interpreting the transform of a periodic signal as an impulse train in the frequency domain. To derive the form of this representation, consider the signal. Now, before get into the explanation of a Fourier transform periodic signal, that we have to understand that when you are taking a Fourier transform of a impulse signal, what we have there from a impulse signal, we can understand, we can convert that impulse signal to a when you are taking a Fourier transform for impulse signal is nothing but the value will be 1. Okay, so with that specific understanding, we can get into the Fourier transform periodic signal. So that's why what we do is this time periodic signals can be incorporated within the framework of the discrete time Fourier transform by interpreting the transform of a periodic signal as an impulse train in the frequency domain. To derive this form of this representation, consider the signal consider the signal x of n, which is e to the power j omega 0 n. In continuous time, we saw that the Fourier transform e to the power j omega 0 t can be interpreted as an impulse at omega is equal to omega 0. Okay, therefore we might have expect the same type of transform to result from the discrete time signal. Okay, so however the discrete time Fourier transform must be periodic in omega with period 2 pi. This then suggests that the Fourier transform x of n in this equation should have impulses at omega 0 plus minus 2 pi, omega 0 plus minus 4 pi, and so on. In fact, the Fourier transform x of n is the impulse train, and that could be written here as this. Okay, minus to plus infinity 2 pi del omega minus omega 0 minus 2 pi l. Okay, so with that specific understanding, with using this periodic form, we can understand that how it could be rewrite here. Okay, with the value of w pi by 4, pi by 2, each different value, we got different phenomena here. Okay, okay, okay. So now from this figure we can understand, in order to check the validity of this expression, we must evaluate its inverse transform. So just inverse transform. So as we can understand with the synthesis equation, that using the inverse transform that we have already discussed, that 1 by 2 pi integrate 2 pi x to the power j omega e to the power j omega and d omega, that's the integration. So putting those values, we can get this. Okay, and from that we get the Fourier transform x of n, that is at this is the x equal to e to the power j omega. The value of omega 0 is at 2 pi. Okay, at omega 0 plus 2 pi, it's omega 0 plus 4 pi. It is for omega 0 plus minus 2 pi, is omega 0 minus 4 pi. Okay, so the interval of length is 2 pi, as you can understand, because that's why we have, that's very important factor to understand, that that's why we use this 2 pi, because our interval is this. We use this interval as the to get the Fourier transform. Okay, as in place of 1 by n, we are using 1 by 2 pi in place to understand the specific frequency, to analyze the frequency domain of a specific periodic signal, or in as well as in continuous time signal, we use this 1 pi 2 pi. So 1 by 2 pi is the spacing, of that specific signal. So if we put that in a frequency region, what we have here, this, if this signal is started here, it's another signal will be in this space, is another signal will be in this place. Okay, so as you can understand that for an interval length 2 pi includes exactly one impulse in the summation given in equation. Therefore if the interval of integration chosen includes the impulse located at omega 0 plus 2 pi here, then you have this value. Now consider periodic sequence x of n with period n with the Fourier series representation. We can rewrite this equation by rewriting again. We just put e to the power j omega in place of n, so we get these values. Okay, e to the power j omega 2 pi in place of e to the power j k 2 pi by n small n, we get del omega minus 2 pi k by capital N, which is 2 pi a suffix k. Okay, so the Fourier transform of periodic signal can be directly constructed from its Fourier coefficients. Now to verify this equation, we can note that x of n in this equation is a linear combination of signals of the form in equation, and thus the Fourier transform of x of n must be a linear combination of transforms of the form 51.8. Okay, this is the 51.8 where we have written here. This is right. This is a transform form that we have already discussed. Okay, that's what I have written here. Okay, so okay, thus the Fourier transform of x of n must be linear combination of transform of the form. In particular, suppose that we choose the interval of summation in equation this as k is equal to 0, 1 to n minus 1, so that x of n is equal to a0 plus a suffix 1 e to the power j 2 pi by n capital N plus a2 e to the power j 2 into 2 pi by n capital N. Okay, so thus x of n is a linear combination of signal as in equation 5.17 with omega 0 is equal to 0 2 pi by n. The resulting Fourier transform is illustrated in this figure. So we have depicted the Fourier transform of the first term on the right hand side of the equation. Okay, now this, the Fourier transform of the constant signal a0 is this, is a periodic impulse train, and with this we can rewrite these signals. We rewrite this as this. Okay, these are the graphical representation. Okay, so if we just go through that, now let's understand with a specific example. Okay, okay, so let's consider the periodic signal here as cos omega 0 n. So it could be rewritten as a linear combination of exponential function as half e to the power j omega 0 n plus half e to the power minus j omega 0 n, with omega 0 is equal to 2 pi by 5. Oh, 1 second. Okay, so x of n is equal to cos omega 0. Okay, so as we put the values of omega 0 is equal to 2 pi by 5, this periodic signal. Okay, so from this equation 5.18, what we have, where we have this 5.18, this we just put these values. Okay, by putting those values, we have here x to the power j omega minus pi del omega minus 2 pi by 5 minus 2 pi by l plus minus infinity plus infinity pi del omega plus 2 pi by 5 minus 2 pi by l. Okay, just putting those values, we can get the final frequency domain analysis of that specific signal, and this is this. Okay, after every 2 pi by 5 letter ahead, this specific signal will be repeated. Now if we just take another example, now suppose this is the discrete time counterpart of this periodic impulse train, and this is this. Okay, just by putting those values, 1 second, yes. So as we have already know, the Fourier series representation of the specific signal is 1 by n summation of n x of n e to the power minus jk 2 pi by n model, and just put those values choosing the interval summation. As we know that we have a suffix k is equal to 1 by n, and putting the we can then represent the Fourier transform of the signal is x to the power j omega 2 pi by n as these values. As we illustrate the figure, we can get the x of n, and this is the x to the j omega. This is the impulse trends. As we put those values, the impulse equation, we get the frequency domain. This is the frequency domain analysis of this discrete time periodic impulse trend. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to understand the properties of discrete time Fourier transform. Okay. So let's begin with it. Within these two lectures with examples and properties, we will go through the examples, and we will go through also the duality format or the multiplication property and the convolution property. And with examples, we are going to, in the next lecture, we are going to conclude this specific Fourier transform module. Okay. Okay. So let's begin with the periodicity of the discrete time Fourier transform is that x to the power j omega by plus 2 pi. It will be written here as this. So in this, in contrast to the continuous time Fourier transform, which is generally is not periodic. So that's why the periodicity of discrete time Fourier transform property is have a more valuable property here. That's why now suppose, as we have already know that as we increase the specific signal with plus 2 pi, we will get the same specific signal. That's why when you're taking the average of a finite energy or finite energy of a specific aperiodic signal and as well as of a specific periodic signal, we get the same finite energy, and both are the energy also finite, and the amount of the finite energy is also very much calculable, okay, or can be determined. That's the basic property here, okay. So that's the basic difference of a discrete time signal and of a discrete time periodic signal, and in case of a continuous time Fourier transform. In case of continuous time Fourier transform, as at each at each periodic time after a specific time interval, as we the specific signal is come back with the same pattern, but in case of discrete time Fourier transform, the periodicity property is very much linear, okay. So very much linear. So that's why there is the basic difference. That's why it's a big difference that we at the discrete the use of discrete time Fourier transform or the discrete time signal is got much more popularized, because just if suppose there is a signal that has been breakdown, or there is a loss of the energy of that specific signal, we can regenerate that specific signal using another photocopy of that specific signal, because as we already know that specific signal will be repeated itself. So the specific amount of information that should be contained in a signal will only be contained within the specific waveform. The shape of the waveform will contain the specific information, and that specific waveform, or the that specific waveform will be repeated itself after a specific time interval. That time interval is plus 2 pi by 2 pi. So as we this relation is this mathematical relation practically showing us that specific waveform which contain the information will repeat itself. So any kind of distortion in any specific part of that specific periodic discrete time periodic signal, we can regenerate the specific signal using that using another photocopy of that specific signal waveform from another part, okay. So this property is very important for which is as the periodicity of the discrete time Fourier transform. So when we were talking about the linearity of the Fourier transform, is that it's very much similar to the continuous time Fourier transform, where x of 1, as we can take the Fourier transform x of 1n and x of 2n, if we multiply it with any kind of a coefficient, that specific multiplied coefficient, the value of that specific coefficient will not change when you convert that specific discrete time signal to the frequency domain, from time domain to the frequency domain, okay. So next okay. So as the time shifting and in case of time shifting and frequency shifting, now if x of n is Fourier transform x of n is sorry 1 second, okay. So as we have discussed about the linearity property, so let's go to the next property here, which is time shifting and frequency shifting. In case of time shifting, the same specific signal, or if we take a Fourier transform which is x to the power j omega. Now if you just take a time shift of that specific signal, we're going to get that it will be multiplied here to the minus j omega n 0. And in the previous lectures also we have already discussed how mathematically how we can prove that specific theory, okay, in the continuous time Fourier transform. So that's why I'm not going to get into that detail here, and that's also very much similar, okay. So now as we also that if you the same will be happening if you multiplied with exponential function to the power j omega 0 n with x of n, we get the Fourier transform of that, and which is mod x e to the power j into omega minus omega 0, okay, and can be obtained by direct substitution, and we have already discussed about this. So let us understand with example 5.7. So now suppose we have repeated the frequency response of this function e to the power j omega of low pass with the cutoff frequency omega 0. It means that above that frequency the signal will not pass itself. That's why it's a low pass frequency. After that specific frequency, that specific any kind of signal which with above that frequency will not pass through that specific filter. Okay, so the frequency response of this shifted by 1/2 period by pi. Since high frequency in discrete time are concentrated near pi and other odd multiples of pi, the filter in figure is an ideal high pass filter with cutoff frequency pi minus omega c, that is e to the j omega HLP. This, as we can see from equation, as we will discuss again in section 12, the frequency response of an LTI system is the Fourier transform of the impulse response of the system. Thus this respectively denote the impulse response, and we get this specific values. With this we get this. So above that will not get passed. Okay. So from that we get this kind of result. So the another property that I'm going to discuss here is that conjugation and conjugate symmetry. So this one we have already also discussed in case of continuous time also, that continuous time Fourier discrete time Fourier transform of this signal is x to the power j omega, and also this conjugate the Fourier transform of this discrete time signal as this, it is also a conjugate symmetry, and as x of n is a real value, it will be equal. Okay, and we can also represent this, it follows with that x to the j omega can also be written as a even function, as a combination of even function and odd function. So similarly the magnitude of x of j omega is an even function and the phase angle is an odd function. Furthermore, you can rewrite that as this, and where even and odd denote the even and odd parts respectively of x of n. For example, if x of n is real and even, its Fourier transform is also real and even, and it illustrates the symmetry for x of n, which is equal to a mod n. And differencing and accumulation of this equation can be we can understand here that simple, that we only have a difference equation, it could be rewrite as this x to the power j omega, as it is a time difference of -1, so it could be rewritten here e to the minus multiplication of e to the minus j omega into x to the power j omega. So we just take the common, it's a simple mathematical format, and this signal can also be rewritten here as that, and using that we can rewrite this function as this. It's a very simple and now this function might conclude the transform of y of n should be related to the transform of x of n by division of this. This is partly correct, but as with continuous time integration property given, there is a more involved, the precise relationship will be this, because as we know that when you are taking a whole integration, we are taking the summation of the specific area through which the signal has passed. So when you are taking the total integration of the specific signal, we will add these values that I have already discussed in also the continuous time part also. Okay, now if we take a simple example here, that x to the j omega of unit step function is this, it could be rewritten here as 1, as we know the impulse response Fourier transform impulse response is 1, and so x to the j omega is 1 by 1 minus e to the minus j omega g e to the j omega pi g e to the j omega 0, this value. Okay, the time reversal is there, let x of n be a single with spectrum x to the power j omega, and consider the transform y e to the j omega of y of n, and it could be rewritten here as this. Substituting m is equal to minus n, we can rewrite this signal as this part. Okay, y of e to the j omega as written as minus into the plus into x of a e to the minus j minus omega m. Okay, now as you already know, for the time expansion formula, it is important to understand that this is the time scaling property. It's very much similar to the continuous time transform property, so it's no need to discussion here. So we're going to discuss this specific form here, is that this. Now suppose this is the specific specific waveform, that frequency spectrum of this specific signal, which is in a time domain, as this. Now as we just increase the spacing of these two specific signal, which became a each individually became a specific aperiodic signal. Okay, from aperiodic signal is also a specific, as we equally we increase the equal spacing of this specific signal. What is that? It became a stream of periodic signal. So as we increase the spacing, what will happen? Okay, so the repetition, okay, of this specific part will increase. That's the part. Now suppose if you take a close look here, 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6. So within 6 sample points we get 5 sample points, right? So what will happen? This is the frequency spectrum, right? Okay, now what will happen as we increase this part here? What will happen? That within 2 space there is one frequency. The frequency of repeating that specific amplitude is that in 2 space it repeat itself. So each 2 space there is a spacing. Okay, so what will happen, the frequency of repeating itself is decreasing, so we have to repeat this specific signal in this form. This is the frequency spectrum of this. Now as we increase the spacing, it will increase also, right? It will increase the, so as we increase the value of n, the spacing, the frequency is decreasing for time domain region, but in the frequency domain it looks this in this way. Okay, this is the inverse relation between the time and frequency domain. That's a very important part to understand here, that the basic relation, as we increase the n, okay, the frequency will decrease, but in case of time domain region, but as we convert this from time domain to the frequency domain is showing that the frequency relation is increased. The frequency of the frequency domain basically is increasing. Basically the specific pattern is repeating itself in a further few less time. Okay, so there's the basic that we have discussed. So I will conclude here today, and we will conclude this module in the next lecture. Thank you.